Welcome to another edition of Turn 6 Garage, and today I'm talking about my latest acquisition, a 2002 BMW 325i. Now, I am into fixing up old Euros. It's just my thing. Same with my W210, and a lot of people know that I fix up old Euros too, and I have a penchant for them. This car came to me in rather unusual circumstances. It was a family friend's car, which was in the same family since new in 2002, but had been dormant for quite a period of time. It hadn't started or moved in well over a year, and it was a car that, in all fairness, I was told to scrap. It wasn't a car that was perceived to be worth keeping because it didn't even start, didn't even move, didn't do anything. And I came to see this car, and it was in a jungle. It was literally as though the earth was trying to reclaim this 325i. The wheels were effectively dug in. The interior was full of all manner of creepy crawlies, ants, big spiders, and it was in quite a state. Things were just left in it. The headliner was hanging down and was full of wonderful things. And the car basically was in its state, left to die. It hadn't moved in a while. It was just stuck in a position, and that was it. But this being me, I thought, well, maybe I can give this thing a go. Maybe I can save this car. Maybe I can bring this one back to life. And so Nick and I saw the car, went out for dinner. We had to insect bomb it twice. Bomb one went into the car first, and also a whole bunch of surface spray to try and get rid of all manner of wonderful things that had called this car home for the last 18 months. Ultimately, went out to dinner, went back, opened the door, looked kind of suspicious what we were doing, putting another insect bomb in this car to try and get it started and get it moving. Because when I saw the VIN number of the car and decoded it, I thought I was going to be given a 318. I did not think it would be a 325. I thought it'd be some Valvetronic 318 that had burnt its last piston ring and last Valvetronic and burnt a big cloud of blue smoke. However, when the VIN came back to a 2002 325i in Titan Silver, I went, maybe there's hope. So the next day, the tow truck comes, the tow truck driver and I pull this car out, and it was literally stuck into its, what may have been final resting place in a jungle, in a home. And took it to a BMW specialist, and they weren't sure this was going to run either. Again, it having not run, they thought this thing was dead as a doorpost. Said it probably was some ancillary object, something that might be a module, could be any number of things why the car wouldn't start. And I left it there thinking, well, here goes nothing. Does this thing start? Is this going to be a car again? I didn't even know how many Ks it had on it. I didn't even know if there was any warning lights on. I didn't know anything about this car. I didn't have much in the way of service history. There wasn't much in the way of knowing about this car. There wasn't much in the way of history. Didn't know what I was going to be getting into when I came to see it again. However, within a matter of hours, the news was positive. This thing started, cut out quite a lot, but it started. The battery, it seems, was the wrong battery for it. It was too small, which was, it didn't have enough amperage for the car to crank off it. Which meant that this thing wouldn't start off the smaller battery. And I knew the battery was too small for it when I saw the back. I knew that these things needed a certain type of battery, and this wasn't it. So it then transpired, typically for an E46, it was a fuel pump issue. Not an issue, that wasn't the end of the world, and it got dealt with. And it also had an issue with coils, and it had an issue with plugs, and it had an issue with the mass airflow meter. Now, mass airflow meter had to be dealt with as well, because that was causing the engine to cut out as well. So I get this thing back. I go and stick a set of tyres on it because somebody had stuck retreads on this thing. I don't know how, but it had retreaded tyres on it, and 141 kilowatt 2.5 inline 6 really isn't the right thing to have on very little grip in the way of tyres. I drive this thing for the first time and realised just how good of a car it is, and I went, yep, this one was worth saving. This one deserves a second chance. This one deserves to be back on the road. And there were some issues that needed dealing with. The headliner had to be dealt with because it was just a complete mess. The car started misfiring again, which turned out that the original mass airflow meter was dodgy, which got replaced under warranty. And I got 6 Bremmy coils and 6 Bosch plugs for it to replace the original 2001 Bosch coils that were still in the car after all these years. There are still things that need doing on this car. The air conditioning does have an issue with the resistor, with the E46, another common issue. And also I need to get some suspension parts for it because the suspension is a little tired. But apart from that, and also I need to get a window regulator. Again, these are common E46 ailments, which is really good because owners forums like E46 fanatics makes life really good with these cars because they all do the exact same things, as you'll see in my buyer's guide video I'll release later. So the E46, this specific E46, is one that I'm going to be keeping. This is one of my long-term cars for sure. And now, having driven one, I understand why people love them so very, very much. Especially with an M54 engine like this one has. Beautiful engine sound, beautiful steering, beautiful handling. It's just a great car. I absolutely love this engine. The M54 2.5 litre inline 6 is just beautiful in every way. I wish this was a manual, but then again, I'm just happy I've saved this car. I'm happy to drive this car. And it's been 18 years since we've had a BMW, and now I've got one again. I'm eternally grateful to my family friend who's graciously gave this car to me in the hope that I would save it, and I have. I'm very grateful to see that this car is running, driving, functioning as a car. And when I first saw it, I wasn't sure of it, but now this one's definitely a keeper. I'm keeping this one. If you really want to feel rewarded with your next car purchase, go and save something from the scrapyard. Save a car that deserves to be saved. Something that, once it's done, becomes a daily driver, becomes a project car, becomes something that you love. Because you see another nice car, or car you like, on the road, continuing to be driven, rather than being dumped in the scrapyard. And look, and that sums up so many cars that I've had. So many of the projects for this channel have been cars that, if it wasn't for me or wasn't for Nick, they would have gone to the scrapyard. Red Outlander, for example. That car was knocking on death's door when we bought it. So many cars are just being left to die. People just discard them and buy something else, when really saving the older car is less money. Saving the older car, for some, they're a much nicer car to drive. For some, they're more fun. For someone like me, it brings back memories of seeing these things new when I was 7 years old. It's a car to me that deserves to be saved. And as it drives along at 100 kilometers an hour, in 5th gear, I see a car that has plenty of life in it. A car that I want to keep for a very long time. That I want to share more experience, enjoy more things and more drives and more places with it, like I do with so many of my other cars that I own. And yes, I do have quite a few cars now for me. I really don't need more, but frankly, these are... I really do not need more cars for personal use. For the channel, I'll be having a few more. I really don't need more keepers, so to speak. I have enough. I have the Merc, I have my Audi A4. I mean, yes, we'll have all the projects that ultimately will be saved and moved on. And that's where this journey has taken me. It's taken me into owning old European cars, because they're the cars I love so very, very much. They're the cars I hold closest to my heart. They're the cars that, to me, are my thing.